For the longest time, I believed I was living in a love story most women could only dream about. Michael was everything I thought I wanted in a man. Charming, ambitious, and attentive in a way that made me feel like the center of his universe. He had this disarming smile that could melt away my worst moods, and a way of holding me close that made me believe I was safe, cherished, irreplaceable. I wasn't naive. I knew relationships took work, but I was convinced ours was built on something real, something lasting. Our life together wasn't extravagant, but it was comfortable. I handled most of the household responsibilities, making sure our little apartment always felt like a home. While Michael pursued his career, he was climbing the corporate ladder with an intensity that left me both proud and, if I was honest, a little envious. But I never complained. I supported him through late nights, cooked warm dinners he often missed, and listened patiently to his endless office stories. I told myself it was worth it. His success was our success. And for a while, I truly thought he appreciated it. Michael had this habit of surprising me with little gestures. Flowers after a long week, my favorite chocolate left on the pillow, random texts that read, "I love you, always." Those small things convinced me we were unshakable. When friends gossiped about infidelity, I'd shake my head with pride. Not us. Not Michael. But illusions are fragile things. It started subtly. He began taking his phone with him everywhere, even into the bathroom. When I teased him about being addicted to social media, he laughed it off, saying he was just checking emails. Then came the late nights. Meetings that dragged on last-minute client dinners, sudden business trips he never mentioned until the day before. At first, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. That's what trust is, isn't it? Believing in someone, even when doubts whisper at the edges of your mind. But those whispers grew louder with every unexplained absence. Every time his smile felt a little less genuine. Every time he turned away, when I leaned in to kiss him. There were moments when my chest tightened with unease, when instinct told me something was wrong. But each time, I smothered the thought. I remembered all the ways he had once shown me love, and I convinced myself I was overthinking. After all, hadn't he promised me a future? Marriage, a home, children. Surely a man who painted such vivid dreams wouldn't betray me. Still, cracks began to show. One evening, as I was folding laundry, I noticed the faintest trace of perfume on his shirt, a scent that wasn't mine. It was floral, sweet, unmistakable. I held the shirt to my nose, my heart thudding violently, telling myself it must have come from a colleague's hug, or maybe a crowded elevator. But the doubt lingered, gnawing at me. Another night, when he came home later than usual, I noticed his hair perfectly styled, his shirt freshly pressed, and the faint smear of lipstick at his collar. He brushed past me quickly, mumbling about work stress, heading straight for the shower before I could say a word. The illusion was cracking wide open, but I wasn't ready to see it yet. Love makes fools of us all, and I was no exception. I told myself it was exhaustion, stress, anything but what my gut screamed at me. I buried the unease beneath forced smiles and cheerful conversations, pretending everything was fine. After all, I loved him. I loved the man I thought he was. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right, and soon, the truth would reveal itself in a way I could no longer ignore. The night it all came crashing down, I wasn't looking for the truth. I had spent the day cleaning, cooking his favorite lasagna, and waiting for Michael to come home. He'd promised to be back by 7, but when the clock struck 9 and my dinner sat cold on the table, I knew better than to expect him. I tried to push the disappointment away. He was working. He was tired. He was doing it for us. But the gnawing ache in my chest told me otherwise. When I finally heard the jingle of his keys in the lock, it was almost midnight. He stumbled inside, smelling faintly of cologne, whiskey, and something else. Something sweet and unfamiliar. He kissed my forehead absent-mindedly, muttering a quick, "Long day, babe. I'm exhausted." I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to. But as he showered, I noticed he'd left his phone on the counter. Normally, it was glued to his hand, his constant companion. The sight of it lying there, screen glowing with a new notification, felt like a temptation I wasn't strong enough to resist. My hands trembled as I picked it up. One swipe, and his world, our world, unraveled before my eyes. There they were, messages from a woman named Samantha. Dozens of them, stretching back weeks, maybe months. "Can't wait to see you again. Last night was incredible. She doesn't suspect anything, does she? I'll wear that dress you like tomorrow. Each word was a dagger. Each heart emoji, each photo she sent of her smiling face, twisted the knife deeper. My breath caught in my throat, and tears blurred my vision until the screen became a cruel smear of betrayal. I scrolled further, numb, reading about the hotels, the dinners, the stolen weekends he had spent with her, while I waited at home, believing his lies. He had called me the love of his life, and then told her she was the only one who made him feel alive. I set the phone down slowly, my chest tight, as if the weight of the truth was crushing the air from my lungs. When he emerged from the shower, towel around his waist, hair dripping, he smiled faintly and asked, "You okay?" I stared at him. At the man I had loved, trusted, sacrificed for. At the man who had just kissed another woman and come home to me as though nothing were wrong. But I didn't scream. I didn't confront him. Not yet. Instead, I forced a smile, swallowing the bile that rose in my throat. "Yeah," I whispered. "I'm fine." Because in that moment, a decision sparked in me. I would not let him see me broken. I would not give him the satisfaction of my tears. If he thought I would crumble, he was wrong. I spent the next days in a fog, my heart shattering with every reminder of his betrayal. Every time he lied about working late, I pictured him in her arms. Every time he touched me, I felt the ghost of her perfume. And yet, I smiled, cooked, played the role of the loving partner, while rage quietly simmered beneath my skin. I remembered every sacrifice I had made for him. The nights I stayed awake sewing his torn shirts. The weekends I gave up with friends because he wanted me by his side. The job promotions I turned down because we couldn't move cities yet. And now, all of it, everything I had given him, meant nothing. The pain was unbearable, but within that pain, something new was born. Resolve. If Michael thought he could betray me and walk away unscathed, he was about to learn just how wrong he was. I was done being the fool, done being the woman who waited at home, while he played games with my heart. I wouldn't confront him with tears. I wouldn't beg for answers he'd only twist into more lies. No. I would make him feel the humiliation, the helplessness, the loss of control he had inflicted on me. And I already knew exactly how. Revenge is not born in a moment. It brews quietly, like a storm gathering strength in the distance. After discovering Michael's betrayal, I didn't confront him. Instead, I carried on as though nothing had changed. I cooked his meals, kissed him goodnight, listened to his endless excuses about work dinners. On the surface, I was the same devoted partner I had always been, but beneath that calm smile, I was plotting. I thought about the countless ways I could expose him. Printing screenshots of his messages, showing up at his office with Samantha in tow, or simply packing my bags and leaving. But none of those felt enough. Michael had humiliated me. He had stripped me of my dignity with every lie, every stolen kiss with her. If I simply left, he would spin the story in his favor. He'd tell people I was overly dramatic, too insecure, maybe even crazy. He'd walk away smug and untarnished, while I was left carrying the scars. No, he deserved something sharper. Something he would never forget. It came to me one night as I stood in the bathroom, brushing my teeth. My eyes drifted to the shower shelf, where his expensive shampoo bottle sat proudly beside my own. He was obsessive about his hair, always running his hands through it, always checking his reflection, spending ridiculous amounts on products. His appearance was his pride. And suddenly, my lips curved into a smile for the first time in weeks. The plan was so simple, so deliciously fitting, that I almost laughed out loud. The next day, I went to the store and bought a bottle of hair removal cream. The kind that works fast, dissolving hair at the root. Its packaging looked similar enough to his shampoo that the swap would go unnoticed. I took my time, ensuring no one saw me. And when I returned home, I carefully emptied his shampoo bottle and replaced the contents with the cream. The thick, pearly liquid swirled into the bottle seamlessly. I shook it until it was indistinguishable. To the unsuspecting eye, it was still shampoo. Only now, it carried my vengeance. I placed it back exactly where it had been, aligning the label just so. And then I waited. The first few days were torture. Each time Michael showered, I lingered near the door, straining to hear any sign that my trap had sprung. But he didn't use it. Not yet. He was rushing, distracted, grabbing my body wash instead. I bit back my impatience, reminding myself that revenge required timing. And then, the perfect opportunity presented itself. Michael had been preparing for an important business presentation, one he claimed could change everything for his career. He spent hours rehearsing, buying a new suit, even scheduling a haircut. He wanted to look flawless, polished, the picture of success. On the morning of the presentation, he strutted into the bathroom, humming to himself, to self, absorbed to notice the flicker of anticipation in my eyes. I sipped my coffee slowly at the kitchen table, heart racing with a mix of nerves and exhilaration. The sound of running water filled the apartment, followed by the familiar rhythm of him lathering his hair. I waited. 5 minutes. 10. Then it happened. A muffled curse echoed from the bathroom. Then another, louder, angrier. The shower cut off abruptly, and the door slammed open. "Now you hike to the hell ice to ice." Michael's voice was raw with panic. I turned, feigning confusion, and nearly burst into laughter at the sight of him. Water dripped down his face, but it wasn't his wet hair that caught my attention. It was the patches of bald, glistening scalp peeking through. His once thick, styled hair was falling out in clumps,